Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video. In this video we're going to be modeling the magazine for the Glock 17. This week is going to be a little bit different from my other videos because I'm implementing Fusion 360 for the workflow. So the magazine is not perfect, but it's close to the reference, and I wanted to show you my struggle and how I approached it. And yeah, I wanted to show where I had trouble and how I solved it. So if anyone can find it helpful, they can learn from my mistakes. So enjoy the video. So quickly here, I wanted to comment that the first struggle I had was finding the origin. But like I said, I'm trying to implement Fusion into my workflow, so some of those things are acceptable. But I didn't think that much of it, so I was looking for it down here in the display options, but it was actually on the folders down at the browser section. So for future tips for you, if you cannot find the origin, it's on top. It's not hidden by default. I hid it and I forgot where I hid it from, but that's totally normal. Also, you can see me here struggling with the cuts, the main cuts from the body, but instead of doing like weird Boolean operations with weird sketches, I ended up just like doing straight diagonal cuts and using the draft tool. So that's how I got the main body going, and the other stuff is like most straightforward. Okay, so I wanted to mention here, because here in a little bit I'm gonna start doing the letters in the magazine. So I wanted to take the opportunity to mention that since we're using Fusion for games, you might not see me do a lot of filleting for the model, like a lot of micro fillets, because of course on the silhouette parts I use like the main fillets that are gonna help the actual shape or the silhouette of the model. So that's why I'm titling the video game asset, even though we're not taking it in this particular video all the way to game ready. And like it's not even close. Here what we modeled is mostly for high poly preparation or even like low poly preparation. With this base model we can take it to finish it being a high poly, or the same model we can use it for low poly. That's why it's nice to differentiate why you're using the program. So if you're watching this video and you're not planning on doing game ready assets, you would probably feel it like for example every number or every hole or every edge that you would like to keep, like maintain this softness. But if you're planning on taking it to another program to make the high poly, you would always consider beforehand what you're gonna feel it and what not, which for games it's mostly nothing. I mean, not nothing, but like you need to consider what are you gonna feel it before the high poly, because whatever we feel it here, even though we can clean it up afterwards, when we're doing the low poly it's easier to not feel it and work separately for our needs. For the high poly we can keep it the softness to each bevel, and for the low poly we can just like not do anything. I mean, in particular for the fillets, like we don't need to remove anything because there's no geometry there, like because we were planning ahead of time. And that's what I wanted to mention towards this workflow, and something that you need to keep in mind. For example, if you're watching this and you're given the idea of trying out Fusion for game assets, keep in mind that you don't have to fillet everything, or consider where you would want to fillet and where not. Okay, so here we are with the final magazine. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts after the video, because I wanted to mention that I know that the magazine is not perfect or like as best as I would want it to be, because I wanted to share my process getting used to Fusion, and also like show everything rough, like my struggles and all the mistakes I did. That's because I think people can benefit from like the different thought process between trying to accomplish something, even though like it's not perfect. Like in a tutorial, for example, if I was doing a tutorial here or in one of the courses, I already have planned what I wanna show and what I wanna teach and how I wanna teach it. So sometimes that perfect planification makes students think that that's the way you need to model. Like, for example, that I already know the amount of millimeters that I need to inset this hole or whatever. So I wanted to share this one also, like to show like the process, not just a tutorial. That's why it's shorter, and that's maybe why I'm not commenting as much throughout the video. I'm gonna try to comment more in the upcoming videos. As I'm learning and getting more used to using Fusion 360, I'm gonna have more tips and more things to comment on. But for this one, I know it was rough, and I know I had a hard time like even achieving this. So yeah. I also, for example, I'm planning on taking this one, like this exact magazine, throughout the whole process, like low poly, high poly, and texturing, and I'm gonna upload the videos, but it's gonna be on the same like format. On those I can comment more because I'm more used to like UVs, low poly, high poly, and all, and the texturing part. But for this one, I decided to just like upload something rough, which is fine. Like I know people can find it interesting, helpful, or even just entertaining to watch like the process of how you would make a magazine for one of the big games or something. Even though this is, I know it's not triple A quality yet, but it can get there. So what I was trying to say is, for example, for a model that you would use in a game, maybe you wouldn't model the follower. I just wanted to use it as a challenge because it had an interesting shape, and even the follower, I had multiple references, but like the references were from different followers, not specifically this one. So I combined all of them and just made this one, just like to have something. Also for this metal inner plate, or however you would call it, casing, which is also this part. But as you can see, I made it in two parts because for games you just model what you're gonna see, and even these, maybe for example for the low poly, I would just keep like a small suggestion that there's something there, not the whole box, or even this one. But for example for this one, I cut it short here because I thought it was not going to be visible, but after I was like looking at it from different angles, I realized that I need to continue this, which I will. Like I'm gonna continue recording this, just fix those small mistakes or changes, and I'm gonna record and upload the complete process for the high poly, texturing, and rendering and whatnot. And maybe I can comment more on what I would change in like on the modeling part, because I know there's a lot of things that I'm still not sure how to approach it in Fusion, even though, like I was mentioning earlier, for example, the filleting and whatnot, that gives me an idea, because it would be the same if you would start in Blender or Maya or whatnot. Also, I wanted to mention that if you were interested in watching the process of modeling something for games, for example, the magazine or whatever it is, and you're like, you don't want to use Fusion and you want to use Blender, or you want to use Max or Maya or whatever, you can still watch the videos and grab some knowledge, because I'm going to try to keep the videos not software specific. I know this is completely different than Blender or Maya because it's a CAD software, but the ideas are mostly the same. Like how you would approach the model, what you would look for in the reference and whatnot is mostly the same throughout softwares. But yeah, if you're trying to just stick to one software and you're like, oh yes, this will just confuse me, then skip the Fusion 360 part and you can watch the next parts where of course the low poly translates closer to Blender, Maya, and 3ds Max than Fusion to Blender or Fusion to Maya. So yeah, I'm happy for you if you stuck around until the end of the video, and happy for me, of course. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and this is like me promising you that I'm gonna upload more. For starters, I'm gonna finish this, and I already did another video on an M16 carry handle, which I'm also gonna take through the whole process, and I'm gonna upload it here for you to learn or entertain yourself or whatever. Like, we can comment, we can chat down below or on my Discord channel, whatever new ideas you would like to see, or tutorials even. So yep, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can keep updated on new videos and content. Thank you.